This Jesus thing, good on Sunday, not good on Monday, not good on Friday night, not good on Saturday, but it's only kind of there when you need it. Does it have anything to do with your life beyond Sunday morning? And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. People get so frustrated with Jesus at times because they're wondering, who are you? Will you cut to the chase? Let us see this God you talk about. And then Jesus says this, anyone who has seen me has seen the Father. Do you understand what that would have meant back then? Jesus is basically saying, I am God. And either they were going to pick up stones and kill him, or they were going to recognize this guy is unlike anybody else. And that's what they're trying to figure out. They're trying to figure out who is Jesus. And maybe that's where you are today. Some of you have kind of come in here because this is what you always do. You're visiting family and they've told you, you got to go or else we're not going to feed you lunch. And here you are today and you're kind of thinking, all right, I'm stuck. But this Jesus thing, good on Sunday, not good on Monday, not good on Friday night, not good on Saturday. But it's only kind of there when you need it. Does it have anything to do with your life beyond Sunday morning? And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. You know, I think about this whole, people trying to figure out who Jesus is and kind of understanding his true identity. I think about this story of this bar on St. Patrick's Day in Chicago. And there was a guy sitting at the bar and he said, I want to raise a glass of Guinness to my homeland in Ireland. And a guy across the bar kind of perked up and said, Ireland, I'm from Ireland. And they raise a glass of Guinness to Ireland. A little bit while later, he says, I want to raise a glass to Ireland and to where I'm from outside of Dublin. And this guy goes, I'm from outside of Dublin too. And he raises a glass as well and they celebrate. And he says, I'm outside of Dublin on the west side. I'm from the west side. Oh my goodness, I can't believe it. Then he raises a glass again. I'm from this little town called Kennard. And he goes, I'm from that town as well. And now they begin to approach each other at the bar, and they're clinking glasses and singing and laughing. And one of them says, which high school did you go to? And he said, I went to St. Mary's. I went to St. Mary's. What year did you graduate? 1969. That's when I graduated as well. And they're cheering and celebrating. The bartender's just shaking his head, and somebody says, what's wrong? Oh, the O'Malley twins are drunk again. Oh. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. There you go. That's free. Now, a classic case of mistaken identity, and as a way to tie that into Jesus, well, basically, Jesus is walking around, and everybody's like, who are you? I mean, I've never seen anybody do the things that you do and to say the words that you say. And he's just always leaving people wanting more and with questions as to who he is. And maybe that's where you are with your faith. You've got your questions as to who he is and what he's all about. And so in the middle of all of this, Jesus decides to take his disciples, his closest followers, on a little field trip. And they go up north of Galilee. Now just picture that Jerusalem is like where Austin is. And basically Galilee is where we are. And go up to, let's say, McKinney. And that's where Jesus has taken everybody. And they're headed up there, but the moment they start moving that direction, the disciples start to get very nervous because this is not a place that they normally go. Let's pick this up and see what's going to happen here. Jesus and his disciples went on to the villages around Caesarea Philippi. Now, let's just stop right here for a second, because this is a place that these good Jewish boys would never go. This is a place that was filled with all kinds of godless, heathen, pagan activity. In fact, it was pretty much known that this is where people worshiped the god of Pan, which was a goat god. This was the place that their moms told them, don't you ever get caught up there. You know, you've heard the expression, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. This isn't like we went to Vegas and we saw a couple shows on the strip and we had a nice meal. This is we went to Vegas and we found that dark, seedy place in the back where nobody ever goes, where horrific things go on. That's what this is. That's what Caesarea Philippi is. That's where they sacrifice children for their gods. And Jesus takes them up there knowing full well these guys would think we're unclean just by being in the presence or the vicinity of this place. On the way, he asks them this little question, who do people say that I am? It's just a great question to ask. People are talking. What are they saying about me? Who do they say that I am? They continue on. They replied, some say John the Baptist, others say Elijah, and still others one of the prophets. And then Jesus is basically saying, you know what? You're talking to me about people that have died. John the Baptist has recently been beheaded. You're talking about a guy that was carried off in a chariot of fire. And you're talking about other prophets who are already dead. So in other words, they think I have kind of come back from the dead. That's what they're saying about me. But who do you say that I am? Who do you say that I am? You know, that kid in class that you grew up with, maybe you were this kid in class, and the teacher would put kind of a word problem on the board. Maybe it was a math problem, and it was got a lot of numbers and letters and everything. And they would call out to the class, who has the answer for this? And there was that one kid in class that was totally out to lunch all the time. You know, he was dreaming, he was looking out the window, he was, asleep. And then out of the blue, he just yells out a number, 37. The teacher goes, that's right. And, continues on. And you're like, what? How did that guy get that right? That's kind of who Peter is. He's the guy that's always sticking his foot in his mouth. He's the guy that's always saying the wrong thing. And out of the blue, Jesus says, who do you say that I am? And Peter gets the right answer. He says, you're the Messiah. I think you're the Messiah. Now, when you and I hear Messiah, based upon where we live and what it is that we've been a part of, we kind of have the benefit of hindsight, looking back and seeing everything that they didn't know at the time. They're thinking Jesus has come to reestablish Jerusalem and to reestablish Israel as a prominent nation and to set the record straight and get the Jews back where they belong and get Rome out of there. They're thinking he's going to be a political leader. And Peter pipes up and he says, I believe that you are the Messiah. And Jesus is so taken by this that he says, you know what? I think this is a pretty special answer. And so this is what he says. Blessed are you, Simon, son of Jonah, for this was not revealed to you by flesh and blood, but by my Father in heaven.